Some moments don't just hurt, they divide you. Everything splits into two lives, who you were before and who you become after. For me, it happened in Seattle, on the maternity floor of Cascade Women's Hospital, under fluorescent lights that made everyone look a little tired and a little exposed. Rain tapped the window in a steady whisper, and the air smelled like sanitizer and wet wool from coats hung on chairs. My fingers were wrapped around the strap of my mother's worn brown leather purse, the one she carried to church, to funerals, to every important day she survived. I brought it because it felt like her hand on my back. It was my anchor. My proof that women in my family could stand upright even when the world tried to fold us. I had crossed the country from Charleston to meet my first grandchild. I'd missed my connection in Dallas because of storms, and I spent 9 hours half sitting, half sleeping on a plastic airport chair. My neck stiff, my eyes gritty, my purse hugged against my ribs like it held my spine inside it. In the airport bathroom, I ran cold water over my wrists to calm the shaking. I pinned my hair twice because my hands wouldn't cooperate. I stared at my reflection and whispered, "You're not here to beg. You're here to love." I walked into that hospital believing love would recognize me when I arrived. Then my son stepped in front of the door like I was a stranger. "Mom," Mason said, keeping his voice low, careful. The kind of careful that means he already knows he's hurting you. One palm pressed flat to the door behind him. Brielle only wants immediate family right now. Behind that door, I heard it. A thin newborn cry, then a softer one, like a tiny complaint to the universe. My granddaughter's first sound on Earth, and I was hearing it from the hallway. I blinked once. Mason. I am immediate family. His eyes lifted for a heartbeat. Shame lived there. It didn't move him. "Please don't push," he whispered. "She's exhausted. She wants it calm. She only wants family." Family, said like a rule, said like my place could be rewritten in one sentence. And then the realization hit me, sharp as ice. He wasn't protecting her peace. He was managing my place. I tightened my grip on the purse strap, because if I let go of something physical, I was afraid my knees would go soft. "I'm not asking to be in the delivery room," I said. "I'm not asking for pictures. I just want to see her, 1 minute." Mason swallowed. "Mom," that warning word again. "Mom, stop. Mom, don't make this harder. Mom, be smaller." I glanced at the placard on the door. Knox Harper, baby girl. Her last name first, then his, clean print, like branding. I shifted slightly, trying to look past him. Instinct, not aggression, the way a mother's body still believes it has rights. He shifted too, blocking me again. A nurse hurried past without looking at my face. Another family laughed by the elevators, balloons bobbing, camera flash popping. The world kept moving while my life held still in that doorway. I wanted to beg. I wanted to rage. I wanted to demand my name back. Instead, I heard my mother's voice in my head. "Dignity is the one thing they can't take unless you hand it over." So I nodded once, and I still said, "Okay." Mason exhaled, relieved, like I'd solved a problem for him. "Thank you, Mom." "I knew you'd understand." He slipped back inside. The door clicked shut. I stood there with my purse strap still tight around my fingers, listening to my granddaughter's cry soften on the other side. I didn't know that door would come back as a bill. I didn't know the worst humiliation wasn't the hallway. I only knew the question that kept drilling into me as I walked away, rain smell and antiseptic following me down the corridor. When did my son become a stranger? My name is Evelyn Harper. I was 63 that winter, a widow, a mother who believed love meant showing up, even when it hurt. I raised Mason in Charleston, in a small house that always smelled like coffee and sea air. My husband, Daniel, was the kind of man who fixed things quietly. No drama, no scorekeeping. He wore the same silver watch every day, scratched face, leather band, because he said time was sacred. "Don't waste it," he'd tell Mason. "Show up. Say what you mean." Then Daniel died when Mason was 18. A sudden aneurysm, one phone call, one rushed drive, one hospital room that smelled like antiseptic and endings. Mason stood at the foot of the bed like he could bargain with God if he didn't blink. At the funeral, he didn't cry. He held my elbow like he was the adult, and I was the fragile one. That night, in our kitchen, he finally broke, collapsed into my arms, shaking, whispering, "Mom, What are we supposed to do? I told him the truth. We keep going. So we did. I worked mornings at a medical office answering phones, evenings at a grocery store stocking shelves. I learned how to stretch money and swallow exhaustion. I learned how to keep my voice bright when my body felt hollow. Mason was smart. Scholarships. Internships. A future that looked shiny from far away. When he got accepted into a university in Washington, I cried at my kitchen table like someone had finally handed me a receipt for all the years I'd scraped by. "I'll take care of you someday," he promised, hugging me tight. "You won't be alone, Mom." For a while, he called often. Long talks. Rainy Seattle stories, coffee shops, tech dreams. I'd sit at my kitchen table with my mother's brown leather purse hanging from the chair beside me, listening like his voice could keep my world stitched together. Then he met Brielle. He said her name like it belonged in a different tax bracket. "She's in brand strategy," he told me, excited. "She's brilliant. Everything she touches looks polished." The first time I saw Brielle wasn't in person. It was online. Her Instagram was beige kitchens, perfect lighting, white bedding, and captions about intentional living. Even her laughter looked staged. I clicked follow anyway, because mothers learn to stand outside their children's new lives and pretend the glass doesn't hurt their palms. When Mason brought Brielle to Charleston for a weekend, she hugged me lightly, quick and careful, like she didn't want my existence to smudge her outfit. Her eyes scanned my home like she was evaluating a listing. "This is charming," she said. Charming. A polite word for small, a pretty word for simple. I cooked my best food anyway. Shrimp and grits, cornbread, peach cobbler. Mason ate like he was 16 again. Brielle smiled and barely touched her plate. "I'm just careful about what I put in my body," she said sweetly. Later, she posted a photo of a salad bowl captioned "Clean Choices." No mention of my meal. No mention of me. That's when my best friend Gloria started saying, "People don't change overnight. They change quietly." I didn't listen. When Mason proposed, I found out from Brielle's Instagram before Mason ever called me. A ring photo staged perfectly. Caption, "Forever starts now." Her mother commented first. Brielle replied with hearts. I wrote, "Congratulations, sweetheart." And my comment sat there, unanswered. Wedding planning happened in group chats I wasn't in. When I offered help, Mason said, "It's handled, Mom. Don't stress." At the wedding, my seat wasn't near the front. Brielle's family filled the first rows like royalty. I smiled through it like smiling could keep my dignity from shaking. So when Brielle got pregnant, I should have guarded my heart. But when Mason called and said, "Mom, we're having a girl," my heart opened anyway. I stitched a blanket at my kitchen table. I packed my mother's purse. I booked my flight. Mason hesitated on the phone, then said carefully, "Brielle wants it small. Immediate family only." I heard the warning. I ignored it. And I walked straight into that Seattle hallway anyway, still believing love would choose me back. The storm started the day before I flew, the kind of weather that turns airports into slow panic. My first flight ran late. My connection got moved, then moved again. In Dallas, I watched the departure board flip from on time to delayed to gate change, like the airport couldn't decide where I was allowed to land. I missed my connection by minutes. Just like that, my grandmother moment became a plastic chair. I sat in the terminal under harsh lights that showed every line on my hands. My throat felt tight like I'd swallowed a stone. My phone was at 12% because every outlet was taken, and I stood in a corner charging it while pretending I wasn't ashamed. At 1:30 a.m., I went into the airport bathroom and locked myself in a stall. My hands were trembling. I pressed my forehead to the metal divider and breathed in tiny breaths so I wouldn't cry loud enough for strangers to hear. Then I went back out and did what women like me do. I endured. I slept in pieces, head tilted against a plastic chair, my mother's brown leather purse hugged against my ribs. 9 hours of half sleep and stiff neck and humiliation. 9 hours listening for announcements and pretending I wasn't an older woman alone in an airport at midnight. When my flight finally boarded, I walked down the jet bridge with legs that felt too heavy for my body. In Seattle, the air smelled like wet pine and espresso. I stepped outside and the cold rain hit my cheeks like a slap that didn't leave bruises. At the airport bathroom, I washed my face again. I pinned my hair twice again. My hands still shook. "You're here to love," I whispered to my reflection, "not to perform." At the hospital, I texted Mason, "I'm here. His reply came fast. Wait in the hallway. I'll come out. Wait, like I was being called into an office. When he stepped out, his posture was already defensive, like he'd rehearsed the boundaries in his head. And then came the sentence. Brielle only wants immediate family. I watched his mouth form the words like he was reading from a script he didn't write, but still chose to follow. I didn't know that locked door would come back as a bill. I wish the locked door had been the worst part. Back at the hotel, I sat on the bed with my purse in my lap. I checked my phone. No photo. No message. Nothing. Then the notification popped up. Brielle posted an Instagram story. A private hospital suite with a white couch, fresh flowers, a chalkboard sign in perfect cursive, "Welcome baby Lila." Brielle in a cream robe, makeup flawless, hair styled like she'd planned it. Mason smiling beside her like he was in an ad. Caption, "First night as a family." Then the next story, Brielle's mother holding Lila, jewelry sparkling, smiling wide. Caption, "Best grandma ever." My stomach turned. My eyes stung. My chest felt hollow, like someone scooped out the center and left the edges. I texted Mason, "She's beautiful. Can I come by later?" I'll be quiet. Hours passed. Finally, not today. Brielle's resting. The next morning, he granted me a short visit. Short, measured, controlled. In the elevator, Mason kept checking his phone. On the maternity floor, a nurse asked if I was on the visitor list. Mason answered too fast. "She's with me." Even strangers needed to approve my presence. Inside the room, everything looked curated. Flowers placed just so, a diffuser on the counter, a ring light tucked near the sink, Lila asleep in the bassinet, tiny face turned slightly away. Brielle smiled at me politely. "Hi, Evelyn." "Congratulations," I whispered. "She's perfect." "Thank you," she said, eyes already sliding toward Mason. I stepped toward the bassinet. "May I hold her?" Brielle's hand slid to the edge, subtle and firm. "She just fell asleep." "I can just look," I said quickly. "Keep it quick," Brielle replied, calm as a blade. I leaned over and saw my granddaughter's tiny fingers curled like she was gripping a secret. My throat clenched. I whispered, "Hello, Lila. It's Grandma." Brielle watched me like I was a risk. Mason checked his watch. "Mom, we can't stay long," he said. "Brielle needs rest." Of course. Rest from me. In the hallway afterward, he asked, "You okay?" I wanted to say, "I slept in an airport for 9 hours to be here." I wanted to ask the question again. When did my son become a stranger? Instead, I said, "I'm fine." And I went back to my hotel believing I'd reached the lowest point. I hadn't. Because 9 days later, the hospital called my phone and used my name the only way they thought it mattered. On the 9th day after Lila was born, I was back in Charleston, standing in my kitchen with late sun slanting across the table. The house was quiet in a way that didn't feel peaceful anymore. My mother's brown leather purse sat on the chair, heavy with old receipts and old habits. My phone rang. Seattle area code. For one foolish second, hope sparked. Mason calling from a new number, finally saying something tender. I answered quickly. "Hello?" A woman's voice, professional and brisk. "Good afternoon, may I speak with Evelyn Harper?" This is she. "My name is Andrea. I'm calling from Patient Financial Services at Cascade Women's Hospital." My stomach went cold. "Yes?" "I'm calling regarding an outstanding balance associated with Brielle Knox Harper's maternity stay," she said. "Insurance covered the majority, but there is a remaining balance of—" "Why are you calling me?" I interrupted, because my throat tightened around the words. A pause, paper shuffling. "According to our records, you are listed as the responsible party, guarantor, for the remaining balance." The room tilted. "I'm listed as what?" "Guarantor," she repeated. "Responsible party for the account." I couldn't get through the maternity door, but my name could walk right into their billing system. "What is the balance for?" I asked, voice thin. "The primary non-covered charges include a private suite upgrade and comfort package," Andrea said. "We'd like to arrange payment. Would you like to pay in full today or set up a plan?" "Private suite upgrade." I saw the white couch, the flowers, the caption, "Family." So I wasn't family enough for the hallway. But I was family enough to finance the photo. "I did not sign anything," I said. "We often receive guarantor information at admission," she replied. "It lists you as mother of spouse and—" Send me the itemized statement, I cut in, and send me any document showing my signature or consent. Pause. Ma'am, if the balance remains unpaid, it may proceed to collections and impact the patient's credit. The old reflex rose. Fix it, pay it, protect him. That reflex had raised my son. It had also trained him to expect my surrender. My fingers went to my mother's purse strap without thinking. Andrea, I thought, you're not talking to the old version of me anymore. Andrea, I said slowly, I'm not responsible for that expense. Silence. I'm sorry? I'm not responsible, I repeated. I did not consent. Remove my name from any account I didn't authorize. Her tone tightened. We still need a response on payment? You have it, I said softly. Goodbye. I ended the call and sat down, phone in my hand, heart hammering. Then my screen lit up. Mason calling. I didn't answer. It rang again and again and again, buzzing like something trapped. Text followed fast. Mom, what did you do? The hospital said you refused payment. Are you serious? Brielle is crying. You embarrassed us? Call me now. Embarrassed. I stared at the word until it lost meaning. Because embarrassment was exactly what they'd served me in that hallway. Only mine had been quiet, swallowed, expected. Gloria called me and I answered because Gloria was safe. They called you? She demanded. Yes. And you said no? Yes. Gloria exhaled, half proud, half furious. Good. You can't be not family one day and financial family the next. I'm scared he'll hate me, I admitted. Gloria's voice softened. Evelyn, he's already treating you like you don't matter. The question is, when will you stop treating yourself that way? By nightfall, the messages turned uglier. The last one said, you're selfish, selfish. Me, the woman who built her life around him. I looked at my mother's purse on the chair and felt something settle inside me. Heavy, steady, final. The first time my son chased me like this wasn't because he missed me. It was because he missed my surrender. 2 days later, an email arrived from Mason with the subject line, "We need to talk." I opened it because part of me still hoped for a son, not a manager. His email was long and polished, stress, excuses, and blame dressed up like explanation. He wrote about being a new father, about Brielle needing peace, about how humiliating it was for the hospital to contact them directly. He wrote, "I didn't think you'd do this." Do what? Say no? Then he ended with the line that made my stomach twist. "If you love Lila, you'll help us." There it was. My love as leverage, my granddaughter as a pressure point. I sat at my kitchen table, the email glowing in my face, and my mother's purse hanging from the chair like an old witness. I didn't know that door would come back as a bill. Now I knew it could come back as guilt too. Gloria came over with a folder in her hands like she was bringing armor. "My cousin Tasha works disputes," she said. "She knows what steps to take." On speakerphone, Tasha's voice was calm and blunt. "First, request the guarantor document. Second, dispute in writing. Third, freeze your credit." "Freeze my credit?" I repeated. "You'd be surprised what desperate people do," she said. Even family, especially family." That night, I sent Mason one message. 1. No begging. No essay. I will not discuss money by phone. If you want to talk, join the call with patient relations. I'm requesting the admission documents and signature page. His reply came fast. "Why are you doing it like this?" Because every conversation with him had turned into a room where I had to be careful, quiet, grateful, while he controlled the exits. "Because I'm done being handled," I typed back. Then I turned my phone off and placed it inside my mother's purse like I was locking chaos away. The next day, patient relations scheduled a call. Gloria sat beside me at the table. I printed the itemized statement and stared at my own name on the guarantor line until my hands stopped shaking. Mason joined the call, voice tight. "Mom, this is extreme." I didn't argue. I let the hospital representative speak. "Mrs. Harper is disputing guarantor responsibility," the representative said. "We are reviewing admission documentation." Mason cut in too quickly. "My mom always helps. She said she'd be there." My throat tightened. The old me would have apologized just to calm him down. The new me corrected him. "I said I'd be there for my granddaughter," I said. "Not that you could sign me up for a private suite." Silence. One clean line. One truth, no decoration. The representative continued. We do have a guarantor acknowledgement submitted digitally the morning of admission. Mrs. Harper, did you sign electronically? No. Then we need to verify the signature and device information, she replied. My stomach dropped, because if I didn't sign, someone did. An email arrived with the acknowledgement attached. I opened it and felt my chest tighten. My name appeared in a looping digital script that looked like a stranger's idea of an older woman's handwriting. Rounded, careful, fake. That is not my signature, I said. Mason inhaled sharply. Mom, I didn't let him turn it into emotion. I wasn't in the hospital, I said. I was stranded in Dallas Airport for 9 hours. I have boarding passes and receipts. So either this signature is forged or this form was submitted without my consent. Forged. The word hung in the air. A muffled voice rose behind Mason's line. Brielle, urgent, sharp. I didn't catch the words, but I heard the tone. Fix it. Then Brielle's voice pushed closer to the phone. This is unbelievable. After I just had a baby, she's doing this? My hands trembled, but my voice stayed steady. Brielle, I said. I didn't ask to be in your delivery room. I asked to be treated like family. You didn't want me in the hallway, but you wanted my name on your suite. Silence again. Heavier. The representative cleared her throat. Given the dispute and signature discrepancy, we will remove Mrs. Harper as guarantor pending investigation. The balance remains the responsibility of the patient account holders. Mason's voice cracked with panic. Wait, what? No, and there it was. He didn't panic when I was excluded. He panicked when the curated life got expensive. I placed my phone back inside my mother's purse after the call ended and closed it gently. Not to punish him, to protect myself. The weeks after that felt like learning how to breathe with new lungs. At first, my hand reached for my phone out of habit. I wanted photos of Lila, updates, proof she existed beyond that locked door in that staged suite. But I refused to torture myself with Brielle's perfect family feed. I walked with Gloria's group on Saturdays. Women my age, moving at different speeds, all carrying invisible stories. Nobody asked me to shrink. Nobody told me to keep it quick. They just made space. I froze my credit. I filed the dispute in writing. Patient Relations confirmed my name was removed as guarantor while they investigated the signature submission. Seeing it in writing felt like getting my spine back. Mason went silent for a while. Then he tried in bursts, tiny hooks tossed into the water. A photo of Lila's hand, no caption. A message, she's sleeping, a video clip of her hiccuping. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't want to. God, I wanted to. But I refused to let my love become a leash again. Then one humid Charleston evening, my phone rang. Mason. I stared at his name until the screen dimmed. My mother's brown leather purse sat on the chair beside me. I put my hand on it, anchor, habit, courage, and answered. Hello? His voice sounded smaller than I expected. Not angry, not commanding, tired. Mom, can we talk? Talk about what? I asked. A pause. Then his breath hit the microphone like he'd been crying. I'm sorry. Sorry is a doorway. It's not a bridge by itself. What are you sorry for? I asked, steady. For the hallway, he whispered. For saying you weren't family. For letting Brielle decide everything. For the form. For assuming you'd pay because you always did. I let the silence sit. He needed to feel it. And Brielle? I asked. She knows I'm calling, he said quickly. Her mom didn't help like she thought. We're paying it on a plan. It's hard. His voice cracked. I keep thinking about you in the airport. About 9 hours. About you waiting. And I hate myself. I swallowed. Mason, I'm not your enemy. I know, he whispered. Can you meet Lila? For real? Not rushed. Not timed. I looked around my living room. The quiet I rebuilt. The peace that finally belonged to me. Yes, I said, but on my terms. He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for months. Okay, my terms, I repeated. I stay in a hotel. Visits are scheduled. No surprise demands. And my name goes on nothing. Ever. If you need help, you ask, and you accept no without punishment. I understand, he said. And Mason, I added, my voice soft but firm. If I'm family, I'm family when it's inconvenient too, not just when it's expensive. Silence, then quietly. Yes. 2 weeks later, Brielle emailed me. Short, controlled, but it was acknowledgement. Evelyn, I was obsessed with control and image. I treated you like a threat. I'm sorry. If you're willing, I want to start over respectfully. Respectfully. That word mattered more than affection. I replied, respect is a good beginning. 3 months after the hallway, I flew to Seattle again. This time I booked a direct flight. No airport chair, no 9-hour endurance test. I was done proving my love through suffering. When Mason opened the apartment door, Lila was on his hip. She blinked at me, curious, then reached toward my necklace with tiny fingers like she already knew me. Mason's eyes filled. Lila, he whispered. This is Grandma Evelyn. I stepped forward with my mother's brown leather purse on my shoulder, my anchor returning to the place it first watched me get shut out. Lila leaned into my arms. No ring light, no staged photo, no keep it quick, just warmth. I won't pretend everything became perfect. Brielle and I aren't best friends. Mason is still learning what backbone looks like. Trust doesn't snap back overnight. But I am not invisible anymore, and I learned the hardest truth. Some children don't miss you. They miss your surrender.